Normally I like to dive right into the book reviews, but this video I want to start with just a huge thank you. A thank you to all of my viewers over the last 2 years. Thank you to those who have encouraged and supported this channel and this effort. Thanks to those who even watched the channel and couldn't stand what you were watching. If I have some who love my reviews and some who hate my reviews, then I'm confident that I am making something of a difference with this YouTube channel. A big thank you to my subscribers. You are a massive encouragement to me and especially to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. This channel is better. Things look better. They're sharper today because of the donations that you have been given. So thank you so much to those who support through Patreon, or even if you just subscribe or watch a video and like it and share it, that is awesome. So why all the thanks? This is my 200th video. 200 videos, that is a lot of reviewing, and thank you for all those who have been along this journey as I've been reading all these books and talking about them. I never would have expected to make it this far to 200 videos, so thanks for pushing me forward and encouraging me to do this. And I hope that there are a lot more books and a lot more reviews in the future. And I got a video that I think has enough gravity and worth to it to make it worthwhile being the book for my 200th video. The Gulag Archipelago by Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn. And please forgive me if I butcher his name and the title of the book. But this is one book that should be put under the category of a must-read for every single person. Everyone should struggle through the telling of the history of the prison camps of the Soviet Union, as told by the men who suffered under its cruelty, the prisoners. While it is impossible to know what is true and what is fiction, or even just a little bit of embellishment in this book, but I gotta say, if even half, or simply just a quarter of the Gulag Archipelago is true, then the Soviet Gulag was the cruelest instrument of torture and the greatest injustice in all of human history. What Hitler did to the Jews was beyond grotesque. But Stalin did just as much to his own people, and even in greater and wider spread numbers over a larger length of time to his own people in the Soviet Union. Were it not for a love of Karl Marx and socialism and academia today, I believe Stalin would be looked upon with the same degree of hatred, and in the same way that no one wants to name their son Hitler anymore because of what he did, I believe no one would also want to name their son Joseph over what Stalin did to his own people. Now, going into this book, I really expected to have a struggle with the Gulag Archipelago, that I would be reading things I didn't want to read, that I would be discovering knowledge that I didn't really want to know. But I'm really glad to have read through this book, and the one thing that surprised me the most is that Solzhenitsyn is an excellent writer. Now, I read the abridged version of the Gulag Archipelago. I say abridged, but it's still over 600 pages long. So I didn't read the full 3-volume set. And I would imagine that if I had read through that, I'd probably complain a little bit more that Solzhenitsyn went a little bit longer in his prose and in his descriptions and went into details that he probably shouldn't have. But I think whoever put this edition of the book together did a very good job. There were places where they summarized chapters that were left out of the book, and reading those summaries, I thought, yeah, I didn't need to read that. But what was here was a collection of stories and narratives that were just so moving. The characters that we meet along the way were gripping in their accounts of what they endured before their Soviet persecutors. The narratives move from shocking account to shocking account, from story to story again and again, as these tortured men tell what the Soviet guards did to them, how they abused them in ways that were just beyond the pale. Alexander accounted for all of the most creative ways that were used to arrest people in the midst of the Soviet Union. And I thought it was interesting how he pointed out that maybe the greatest creativity in the Soviet Union was reserved for all the ways that they could arrest their targets and then shuffle them from prison camp to work camp throughout the Russian countryside. The Gulag Archipelago is a must-read for a multitude of reasons, and I'll just give a few in this review. First, the degradation and the suffering that was placed upon the Russian people is a story that should be told. We always highlight the suffering that is caused in wars, where one country needlessly invades another, but so often the terrors inflicted upon a people by their own governments are swept under the rug and forgotten. This should not be. And I wonder now if anyone suffered as much in the 20th century as the average Russian citizen. And may we never forget what happens to an unfavored section of a population when the government is given unchecked power over the lives of its subjects. When the government controls every single level of society, the opportunities for corruption, for cruelty abound. And Solzhenitsyn brings all of this to light in this book. The second thing we learn from this book is where Marxist theories end. Marxist theories do not result in a utopia, but they end in petty jealousies, the destruction of families, the loss of basic freedoms and dignity, and they end in widespread poverty and hunger. Marx desired to rid the world of man's hope in God and the stability of the family. He wants to get rid of those things. And the Gulag is what is born out of a world where we do not have the stabilizing foundations of a hope in God and the nuclear family. Whenever a politician or theologian claims views that come from the tree of Karl Marx's philosophies, they should be denounced and opposed at every chance we get. They claim to offer light and equality and prosperity, but their ideas will only bring about cruelty and poverty. Listen to this excerpt from the book and see how modern American progressive politics are reflecting what occurred in the rise of communism in early 20th century Russia. The thieves flourished because they were encouraged. Through its laws, the Stalinist power said to the thieves, "Don't steal from me, steal from private persons." Greedy cowards, they pushed their way in where they were encouraged to push their way in. They stripped the clothes from solitary passers-by and stole from unguarded apartments. It wasn't certain the bandits would even be tried when caught. Finally, sentences were bound to be reduced, and of course, for the habitual criminals especially. Watch out there now, witness in the courtroom. They will all be back soon, and it will be a knife in the back of anyone who gave testimony. In many American cities right now, we are living through the very policies that gave rise to communism, through the looting of our cities and the sending of criminals right back on to the streets. Now, this is claimed to be done out of compassion for the criminals, but the goal of the Marxists, the goals of the communists, is to use criminal violence to destabilize a society and also to send a message. To send a message to the bourgeois that you are not safe anymore. We need more people today to read the Gulag Archipelago. We need to read this book right now. There is a reason that Jordan Peterson holds this book in such high regard. Although I read this book at the recommendation of Rod Dreher, and I am very glad I did. Now I am adding my voice to theirs. And I'm encouraging you to do the hard work, to read through the stories of those who suffered under Stalin's communism, so that you can open your eyes to the places where Marxist philosophies will lead, so that we will never have our own Gulag Archipelago in America. So I recommend this massive and highly important work by Aleksandr Solzhenitsyn. And if you're new to the Rev Reads YouTube channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe to stay engaged in the wonderful world, not only of Christian literature, but of literature that impacts the entire world around